let's dive right into this explainer and explore the absolutely mind-boggling world of survival inside a United States nuclear submarine. We are talking about an environment so completely detached from normal human existence, it's honestly been compared to living deep inside a cave or even floating in a space station. Over the course of this explainer, we're going to take a rich, immersive look at the extreme psychology, the staggering logistics, and the cinematic, almost unbelievable reality of the Navy's silent service. Picture this. You plunge into total darkness, completely cut off from fresh air, sunlight, and cell service for over 5 months. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? But that is exactly what the crew of the USS Missouri recently did, spending a staggering 163 out of 181 days completely submerged. You don't see the horizon, you don't feel the wind on your face, the artificial lights stay exactly the same, the temperature stays the same, and your only connection to the surface is just the knowledge that it's hundreds of feet above you. Now, to really put that into perspective, consider the sheer volume of people packed into this pressurized tube. You have up to 155 sailors crammed into a single vessel. Imagine taking a small village and stuffing them into a space where a full 1/3 of the footprint is entirely consumed by the nuclear reactor and the propulsion systems. What's left for the crew is just this incredibly dense, claustrophobic labyrinth of miles of cables, pipes, and valves. And when we talk about constraints, let's talk about the absolute basics of human hygiene. For all 155 people on board, there are exactly 5 showers. Total. Because the ship's desalination systems absolutely have to prioritize water for the nuclear reactor and for cooking, enlisted sailors get just 3 to 5 minutes of running water to clean up. Seriously, you get wet, you turn the water off, you soap up, and then you rinse. The only exception is a super rare Hollywood shower, which is authorized by the executive officer when water happens to be in surplus, allowing the water to actually run continuously. Okay, if 5 showers sounded rough, get a load of this. This extreme constraint borders on shocking. There are only 3 toilets available for the entire enlisted crew on board. Just 3. Dealing with the sanitary tanks is a massive, critical mission in itself. A single incorrect valve lineup can, and unfortunately has, sent highly pressurized waste shooting right back into the submarine instead of out into the ocean. It's a literal disaster you do not want to be around for. Section 1. Life in a steel tube, the reality of confined spaces. The lack of space is so severe that just navigating the narrow hallways becomes this constant, highly coordinated choreography. Think about this for a second. Imagine your standard 2-bedroom apartment. Now put 155 people inside it and lock the door for 6 months. Sailors actually develop an almost dance-like way of moving around. They're constantly ducking, turning sideways, and flattening themselves against the cold metal walls just to let someone squeeze past. Personal space? It just does not exist. It's a completely unnatural way to live, and it demands an unbelievable amount of patience. Privacy here is a luxury measured in mere inches. Because there literally aren't enough beds for the entire crew, sailors practice something called hot racking. You know how nice it is to crawl into your own bed at night? Well, forget about it. You don't get your own sheets or your own quiet sanctuary. You simply slide into a bunk the exact moment the previous guy leaves for his watch. The mattress is literally still warm from his body heat. And the sleeping arrangements are so overflowing that some sailors actually end up getting the rest in the torpedo room. Yes, the torpedo room. You are quite literally laying your head down, trying to catch some much-needed sleep just a few feet away from live weapons. Your only privacy is the 6 inches of air between your face and the thin little curtain. Section 2. Surviving total isolation, the mental toll of the deep. Now, your brain is wired for a 24-hour day, right? Well, in the silent service, you can scrap that. Your body's natural circadian rhythm gets completely shattered. Down there, you live on a grueling 18-hour day. You work 6 hours on watch, and the remaining 12 are just devoured by maintenance, fire drills, and training. You sleep if there's time. Honestly, you only know it's morning if there are pancakes in the mess hall. Otherwise, time simply ceases to exist. And because the entire point of the submarine is stealth, the goal is to remain completely invisible to the enemy, communicating with the outside world is incredibly restricted. Any signal sent out is a signal that could be detected. That means no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no scrolling on your phone. You miss births, you miss funerals, you miss every single major life event back home. Sometimes a sailor won't even meet their new baby until the child is already 2 months old. It's a massive psychological weight to carry. Section 3. The $4 billion kitchen, culinary salvation. So, how do they cope? Let's talk food, because the logistics here are absolutely staggering. They pack roughly 20,000 pounds of food onto the vessel before deployment. Just think about these numbers for a second. Nearly 10,000 pounds of flour and over 1,000 pounds of coffee. And let me tell you, that coffee machine never, ever stops brewing. It requires the cooks to become absolute masters of inventory and spatial management. Because remember, a submarine doesn't exactly come with a giant warehouse attached. The punchline to this massive grocery list is that sailors literally sleep on top of canned goods for the first few weeks of a deployment. Every single square inch of dead space is utilized. Canned peaches and spare provisions are packed tightly into the extra showers and stashed right beneath the floorboards. You are quite literally surrounded by your next meal. The Navy knows that a hot, incredibly well-prepared meal is often the only clock the sailors have, and frankly, the only thing keeping the crew sane. That's exactly why these highly trained chefs, some of whom actually train at the Culinary Institute of America, cook over 400 meals a day. And they're doing this in a vibrating kitchen the size of a walk-in closet, making 4 meals a day from scratch while the floor literally hums beneath their feet. The food is so good that submariners are actually known to gain weight during deployments. And yes, unlimited ice cream is a standard military morale policy aboard these vessels, absolutely crucial for sanity. Section 4, the global contrast, how U.S. subs compare. It's really fascinating to see how different countries tackle this. While Russian and Chinese vessels rely on smaller footprints and fewer sailors, sometimes making up the difference with heavy automation, the U.S. Navy invests heavily in human morale and stealth. For example, the Chinese Type 094 Jin class has historically struggled with noticeably louder acoustics, which obviously makes them easier to detect. The U.S. strategy, on the other hand, ensures that 155 sailors are kept sane, well-fed, and hyper-focused. This allows them to operate a completely silent, multi-billion-dollar machine at absolute peak performance for months on end.
Section 5. The Silent Service Mission, Why They Volunteer.
So why do they do it? Well, earning your dolphins, that's the submarine warfare insignia, is the ultimate test of trust and survival. It is a brutal, grueling year-long process. You have to know every valve, every pipe, every single emergency procedure, from the nuclear reactor all the way to the torpedo room. Why? Because in a disaster, 800 feet below the surface of the ocean, the person sleeping next to you is literally the only one who can save your life. And keep this in mind, the submarine force is 100% volunteer. Nobody is forced into this duty. They are united by an unbreakable camaraderie, bonded by shared sacrifice in a way most of us can't even fathom. They do enjoy a few unique perks to take the edge off, like relaxed grooming standards that actually allow them to grow out their beards while underway. But ultimately, these sailors willingly vanish into the dark, crushing depths of the ocean to provide the ultimate strategic nuclear deterrence for the nation. Which leaves us with a pretty profound thought to take away. These silent warriors live a life of complete sensory deprivation, hot-racking in narrow coffins and running multi-billion-dollar stealth machines beneath the waves, all so the rest of the world can sleep soundly. The next time you feel cramped in your apartment or get annoyed by a spotty Wi-Fi connection, remember the men and women of the silent service. So, what do you think? Could you handle the psychological weight of the deep?